This is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. I fucking hate this podcast. Now to your hosts, Tristan and Ian.
Welcome to episode 3 of It's a Work, the only podcast in the world where you can hear Cody Rhodes and Mean Gene Okerlund cussing. This week we're going to talk about Money in the Bank, Daniel Bryan, Impact Wrestling. We've even got an interview with the man himself, Mean Gene Okerlund. So with that being said, Bumsy, why don't you and the Moochers hit the music? That was Bumsy and the Moochers bringing you back to the It's a Work podcast for episode 3 with myself and Mr. Ian Matthews. What's going on, brother?
Hey, man. Hey, everybody.
So we want to start off this week's episode 3, as we've already said, with telling you, man, that everybody has been helping this thing get bigger and bigger each episode, each week. So we want to remind everybody to subscribe to us on YouTube and iTunes, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and any of the other many platforms that we're going to be bringing to you very soon.
Yeah, that's right. All those shameless plugs, very important. So don't forget to like us, and if you hate us, don't forget to tell us, because we enjoy a little bit of hate.
Yeah, to be honest, please bring the heat. If you want to talk shit to us, hop on Twitter, It's a Work Podcast on Twitter. You can follow us there. I should probably learn what our Twitter handle is for future episodes. But yeah, It's a Work Podcast on Twitter. Follow us if you want to talk shit. You want to ask us some questions. You want to correct us on something we might have fucked up last episode or last week or any of the episodes. We don't give a damn. Just come talk to us, man. We're lonely.
So our first topic for episode 3 is going to be the most recent WWE pay-per-view, Money in the Bank. We're going to start with the very first match. We're going to skip the pre-show action, and we're going to talk about the very first women's ladders match. So Tristan, I know we both have some opinions here. What was your feedback? What did you think?
My first opinion is I'm amazed that I've picked a podcast partner who can't say ladder without adding an S in there.
Ladder.
Secondly, no, he says ladders. Secondly, the first ever women's Money in the Bank ladder match. I was actually kind of surprised at how it kicked off. Tamina kind of held court in the middle of the ring for almost the first 5 minutes, just beating the crap out of everybody.
Definitely. They are booking her strong. She looks tough. She's like the Nia Jax of SmackDown Live.
Yeah, I've never had a very high opinion of Tamina, but that was the first time I've actually thought she kind of looked strong and looked good in the ring in a very, very long time, if not ever.
No, I definitely agree. I thought she was going to come on strong, though. I think I expected her to look tough in this match.
Well, here's a question for you. The fans obviously enjoyed the match. The women held back in no way, shape, or form. They got the "This is awesome" chant. They took the bumps. They took the chances that any of the guys would do. But here's the question. The ending. Everybody's kind of talking about this, and everybody's kind of bitching about this, where James Ellsworth decided to climb up the ladder, take the Money in the Bank briefcase, and drop it down to Carmella. And the referee rang the bell, at least one of the 3 referees did, and declared her the victor. Now, I agree with JBL. You can't break a rule that doesn't exist, and that's a direct quote from him. A lot of people are shitting on this. A lot of people are complaining about it, but I say, why? They did what they wanted to do. They got you all talking about it, so in the end, didn't they do something right? Don't they win?
Yeah, and I love James Ellsworth. I fully expected him to get involved, and I think, in our last show, we talked about Carmella potentially winning. That was my biggest disappointment, is I felt like it was very predictable. That'll be my mantra throughout our entire review of this pay-per-view, is I just thought it was very predictable. And while I figured James would get involved and help Carmella out, win the match, I didn't like the fact that he's the one climbing the ladder. So when we go back in history, and this is, some of the things that I've seen people say on Twitter and, you know, some of the things I've heard in different podcasts that I'm listening to or different content that's being put out there. When you go back in history, you're gonna see James Ellsworth climbing up the ladder, taking the Money in the Bank briefcase down, and tossing it to Carmella, and that's the way the match ends. And there's just no way to wash that away when people look back at the very first, Money in the Bank women's ladders match.
But here's my thing. I get that people are saying that the WWE shit on the women and made them look weak and this and that. But I don't think it made them look weak. If anything, the only thing I agree with is, now they're missing out on that visual, looking back in history, of the female winner standing tall atop of the ladder holding up the briefcase.
No, it was a good match. So I thought a lot of the matches, the actual work in the ring, I thought it was great. But the endings a lot of times are what I felt were predictable and had issue with.
Well, let's see if the next match we talk about is predictable in your eyes or not, which would be the Usos defending the SmackDown Live Tag Team Championships against the New Day.
What did you think? Let's get your opinion.
Personally, this is a match that I don't know if I've ever seen this before. I probably have, going far back, if I think about it long enough. But these are my two favorite tag teams in the WWE by far. I love the Usos. I love the New Day. I got a box of Booty-O's sitting on my desk right now next to me while I record. So, I was kind of in mark-out mode for this match. I thought it was stiff. I thought it was exciting. I thought that there were points, and I'm not shitting on anybody, I'm just being honest. I thought there were points where it was a little bit sloppy because these guys were, maybe kind of amped up and going kind of fast. When Big E hit the big splash on the ring apron on Jimmy Uso, I thought he killed his neck.
Yeah, that looked amazing, actually. I definitely, marked out for that.
Big E's dive through the ropes to the outside at the end, I thought he ate shit, but he was right back up to throw Jimmy Uso back into the ring. So it was kind of awesome. The only thing I didn't call ahead of time, because I honestly thought that the Usos would find some kind of cheap way, but through an actual victory to retain the tag team titles. Didn't call the count-out victory, so I'm not really sure how I feel about it yet, but hey, heat is heat.
No, I agree about the count-out finish. I think by itself, it's a fine, way to continue them working together. We want to see more action. To your point earlier, we both really love New Day. I don't love the Usos so much. I like this new persona. I wish it wasn't so forced gangster, but
I don't think it's forced.
Yeah,
I think it's probably their choice.
You think that's their choice to go out there and talk like thugs and
Well, I don't think they're
thugs.
talking like thug. Here, to be totally honest, when I think of a thug, when I think
Dude,
of
they're throwing around prison references.
But I'm saying when I think of like thug or a wannabe homie, that's not what I think about. The way that they're talking is actually very quick, very intelligent, very funny and amusing sometimes. And I think that the look, it's kind of like their actual street look if you watch them on Total Divas, which we both love. If you watch them on Total Divas, that's kind of how they dress. Just kind of, this version of them is a little bit muted. A lot of dark colors, a lot of brooding, and a lot of trash talking.
Yeah, I was confused last episode how much time we spent on Total Divas. No, going back to the match at the pay-per-view Money in the Bank, it was an awesome match. I love to see, New Day back in the ring. I love Big E. He's one of my favorites out there. I mean, he's a hoss. But I just think coming off of the James Ellsworth Carmella finish, it just wasn't the right way to finish this for, the crowd and kind of the energy of the pay-per-view. Because now, as a viewer, I'm thinking, all right, that's two kind of funky finishes. We know that we've got Jinder Mahal and Bob Orton and the Singh, the Singh boys are going to get involved. And it's like, so where's the shock from this pay-per-view? I'm already 2 matches in and I'm thinking, all right, I'm kind of bored.
Well, if you want to talk about funky finishes, why don't we move on to our next match, which is Naomi defending the SmackDown Women's Championship against Lana.
Yeah, I was tweeting during most of the first couple matches, and this was another one where a lot of people thought it was going to be a train wreck. It wasn't as bad as people thought.
No,
but
it
definitely
wasn't bad at all. I mean, I watched this, And to be honest,
I
watched this.
I felt sloppy.
But I watched this with my finger on the fast forward button, thinking that I wasn't going to give a crap about this since I started the pay-per-view like a half hour, 40 minutes late. But I actually kind of got into this, and I was surprised at how good Lana has been doing. Now, I know she's done some NXT and some house shows and stuff like that, but I've never seen her wrestle in the ring before. And I know, yes, I've seen her in the ring at WrestleMania a year or two ago, but guess what? She did little to nothing. This was a full-blown one-on-one match, and I'm kind of giving her props. Except for some tweaks in her ring gear, I thought she was doing pretty damn good.
I think Lana's very charismatic, and I believe that Corey Graves, compared her to Eva Marie, and I agree with that, but she is just... That was a sloppy match. It was not a world title, type of match. And I think that is what's lacking in the championships, right now when we look at the major titles. And we'll talk about that, towards the end of our discussion around this pay-per-view. But
I want to know
how
you compare
opinion.
Lana to Eva Marie, because Lana has actually gotten into the ring, had a good match, and proved with one of the best women's wrestlers in the world that she's actually improving and taking it seriously and doing what she needs to do.
Yeah, I feel like she would be better suited in like NXT or the Indies learning instead of having her first match be on a pay-per-view. I mean, that didn't really work out too well for CM Punk, right?
No, it didn't. But you know what? Hey, I got to give Lana credit. I still think she's did a great job for the lack of experience that she has. And I would say tweak your ring gear so that we can't almost see your vagina every 35 seconds, and you're pretty good after that.
There's a lot of butt cheek on Naomi's side, too, but what are you going to do?
Naomi's got a lot of butt cheek to show, and I'm not complaining.
All right, move on. Next match.
So the next thing that we're going to talk about before we get to the double main event is the return and the arrival of two different stars. One known as Maria Kanellis and one formerly known as the Miracle Mike Bennett. Now, Mike Kanellis. That's right. They made him take his wife's name. Even JBL said it.
Yeah, it was funny. I was excited to see her, and it's interesting. She definitely has the name recognition, so giving... Mike Bennett, her name, now Mike Kanellis. I think that's a great move to get the fans maybe instantly behind them as a couple. She's widely regarded as, one of the best indie talents that was available for them to pick up. So it's been 7 years, I think, since she's been in a WWE ring, and I'm excited because I honestly think that the SmackDown Live women's division needs some help. If Lana and the match that we just talked about is what we're watching, on a pay-per-view.
My three thoughts about this little debut that they did is, one, I'm not fully sure exactly what the gimmick is yet, so I'm waiting to reserve my judgment on that. Two, I liked Mike Bennett in TNA Impact, so I'm kind of excited to see what he does and what WWE has seen in him to have him skip NXT and come right up to the main roster. But three, you gotta give up the whole first lady of wrestling thing, man. You know how many women have done that and how many women it's actually meant something?
No, that's true. But they love, bringing back old gimmicks. I mean, Jinder Mahal. Did you come on, let's talk about it. Did you catch his interview after the pay-per-view?
No, but what I did catch was the WWE Championship match with Jinder Mahal defending against Randy Orton. And I gotta say that I almost feel like the WWE doesn't have the confidence that they might have had a month ago in him, because it seems like they had to pad the match and beef it up by parading guys like Greg Gagne, Larry the Axe Hennig, Sergeant Slaughter, Ric Flair, and even Cowboy Bob Orton sitting at ringside to kind of get the hometown crowd behind Randy Orton. But so now as I'm saying that in my head, is it Jinder that they don't have the faith in, or is there some reason they think they needed extra support for Randy? Because, I know a lot of people have given crap to Jinder Mahal recently, but I remember being there live last month when he won the title, man. Half that place cheered for him.
Listen, I don't think it's Orton, and they have a history of booking champions. I mean, look at Kevin Owens. He had Chris Jericho by his side, intervening in matches. They didn't have legends and people like Ric Flair ringside for that extra pop, but they were definitely playing up the Cowboy, Bob Orton, being in the crowd and it being Randy Orton's hometown. I mean, they have a legacy of squashing people in their hometown, so this was predictable in my opinion. I thought it was a good match. I thought it was, they've obviously been working together a lot. I thought it was a cohesive match. I was a little disappointed. I felt like they tried to relive that spot from the last pay-per-view where, Orton throws one of the Singh brothers, over the table. And I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, I figured it ended just how you thought it was going to, right? I mean, he's going to try and do something to Randy's dad. The Singh boys are going to get involved somehow, and Jinder's going to come out. I'm surprised how strong, though, they've booked his finisher against Randy. Because I think Randy, the thing with him, with Orton's career is you can have him lose, a million matches, and he'll still be a top of the card guy, and it'd still be believable. But I mean, he's gone down 1, 2, 3 after one of those on several occasions now. So
yeah, they're trying real hard to make a real weak finisher very believable, and it
did look weak.
It's one of the only things about Jinder Mahal that I don't like. I do not like his finisher. I love the gimmick. I love the way he speaks to his people. I love that he's slowed down and starting to speak with more bass in his voice instead of yelling in his promos. I love the addition of the Mahal brothers, but that finisher, man, it's got to go. And it's not like I want to see him end up with something stereotypical like the camel clutch or some crap like that. But man, there's got to be something better that they can push him with, because that finisher is the only thing that doesn't work for me. The other thing that I wasn't liking, I liked the match, but it was more of a SmackDown Live, Tuesday night match feel it had to it. Just like a main event of SmackDown Live than a main event of a pay-per-view. The thing that I hated the most, though, and this is where the eternal optimist of me kind of fades away for a minute or two, they just did the same exact finish that they had done the month before, and I was like,
right,
is it a lack of creativity? Is it a lack of faith? Are you purposely trying to piss people off? What is it?
Yeah, I mean, the whole Jinder title run hasn't had much to offer. I'll be curious to see how quickly Baron Corbin cashes in, or what the next pairing is going to be with Jinder. One thing I did see tweeted out was a picture of a pimple on his back, and someone was like, that's a big fat roid pimple. And man, that guy looks pretty ripped up. So,
well, what you're going to see when it comes to Baron Corbin is you're going to see probably somebody like Randy Orton or John Cena take the title off of Jinder and then immediately lose it again moments later when Corbin cashes in.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Wouldn't it be horrible, though, to see that be John Cena?
I would rather see it be Orton and then have him step into the top 3 champions of all time. But
that'd be cool.
This kind of gives us the opportunity to segue now for the main event of the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, which kind of kicked off awkwardly. Like, I'd love to know what the reason is behind taking Shinsuke Nakamura out of 3/4 of the match.
Okay, so real quickly, Fashion Police, we love you. There's just not enough time in the day sometimes. But I was literally like about to tweet at WWE and Triple H a picture, a GIF, from Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, in New Japan Pro Wrestling, where just Shinsuke is just laying knees into Styles, and like just ask what happened to Strong Style. But I was glad, he came back and he was just kneeing everybody. So I would like to see the Kinshasa. Is that how you say it?
Kinshasa.
The Kinshasa.
Which
I would like that to
unfortunately
be
used to be named the Bumaye, which means kill him. But there's a clothing line in the States that's named Bumaye, so they made him change the name of it.
But I want that to be like the new Stone Cold Stunner, where he's just doing it to everybody. You know, like everybody's getting knee to the head.
To be honest, that actually
Stephanie
could work.
McMahon's getting knee to the head. I don't care. But yeah, I was glad to see him come back, but disappointed that he missed a large portion of that match.
I don't know if it's there's still a language barrier with him and the fact that it might be hard for him to converse and plan out a match like that with 5 other guys. I don't know.
No way. I hear his English is good.
Yeah, I do too, but I'm grasping at straws trying to figure out why they would take him out of 3/4 of that match. You know what I mean? Corbin blindsiding Nakamura in the beginning to just start off the match. And, of course, I mean, if this was a 100% real-life situation, yeah, most of those guys probably would sit there and watch because their chances just increased. Owens and Zayn brawled all around the outside of the ring. And I got to be honest, I love this match top to bottom, but I think Kevin Owens was one of the biggest stars of this match because he took ass whoopings beyond ass whooping, and it was amazing how many times you thought he was absolutely done and still came back and took it more.
That's funny. That's a good perception because I also thought that, but I heard some people say that Kevin Owens was the only one that came out of this looking weak, and I was like, no, man, that guy's tough as nails.
Exactly. No, they booked him like a brick shithouse in this match, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought it was a great match. I thought moment of the night, Nakamura Styles tossed the ladder aside and showdown.
Was that not the coolest thing?
It was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. So yeah, I was a little disappointed with Baron Corbin winning. Again, we talked about it on episode 2. Predictable. You called it. A lot of people called it.
I've been calling it for weeks now, man. Weeks. But you know what? Hey.
No, good job.
Let's sit back. Let's see how it goes.
No. Let's see how it goes. But I got a question. We're going to talk about championships right now. We're going to talk about world titles. So last night I tweeted out that picture of Nakamura and Styles and the ladder getting tossed aside. And I said, sad that it's not. And I said, this is the best moment of the night. Sad that these two greatest in the world are not in the WWE, SmackDown Live championship picture. And, you could argue, like, I'm saying that as they're in the Money in the Bank, so they could potentially be, but they lost, right? And I just want to know, like, if we have a Jinder Corbin type of title, right? If we have Naomi and Lana, if we have Brock Lesnar as a part-time champion, do titles not matter anymore?
I mean, some people would beg to say that titles are just props, and have they ever truly mattered?
Yeah, man. Like, I remember growing up and it was, like, all about the world championship. Like, it's just interesting because I can understand looking at you and trying to figure out what you're doing with Pro Wrestling Blitz and the Blacklist right now. And I know that you had an opportunity to join the TV title tournament that they're doing right now, and you turned it down because you had unfinished business with the congregation. You and your boys are trying to put together whatever your master plan is, and that doesn't involve a TV title. For me, I always think like that championship is a vessel for you to do just amazing things with that adds instant credibility to your character, and it seems like more and more I'm proven wrong.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that. Listen, anybody would tell you they would love to have a championship, and me in that situation personally, I would have absolutely loved to have been the first ever Pro Wrestling Blitz Fight TV championship. There's some feuds and some matches that I feel like, yeah, they need a title in it to make it a little bit more special. And then there's some that are just beyond that they don't need a title to be special. They don't need a title to be amazing. But if you add one in there, yeah, then they're fighting for something a little bit extra, and it just makes it all that more awesome and all that more special and epic. Me, when I was growing up as a kid, that Winged Eagle title belt that, Hulk Hogan and Bret Hart and the Ultimate Warrior and all those other men held, that was the shit to me. That was the goal. That was what I dreamed about as a little kid. Like, some kids, they want to be Batman, or some kids, they want to be an astronaut, or, they want to do different things. Me, I wanted to hold that belt. So yeah, as a kid, man, that belt meant the world to me. As an adult, I look at them in different ways now because the designs have changed so much that they unfortunately mean a little bit less. And then when it comes to somebody who now knows more and more and more and more about the business over 17 years, it changes your perspective on things. There's times when I wish I could go back and enjoy it as an ignorant fan again, but I can't.
Dude, so it's just, I feel like you referenced when you grew up. I mean, that title to me is supposed to be on your biggest draw, right? The World Championship is on your biggest draw. Ric Flair carried that NWA title from promotion to promotion and took an ass whipping to give, their faces credibility, right? Even when you had a massive talent at the top of the roster like you do now with Nakamura and KO and Styles, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, Mick Foley, they passed that, The Undertaker, they passed that title around. And right now you've got, Jinder Mahal and Baron Corbin and a guy I never see in Brock Lesnar. While I'm still excited about Brock and Lesnar and Joe, I think it's going to be amazing. At the end of the day, the World Championship match is in the middle of the card now, even on SmackDown, even on this pay-per-view, while the U.S. title seems to be the big belt ending the show. And I just don't understand that logic. I feel like it should be flipped. I don't like it. I don't like how titles don't seem to matter as much anymore. I feel like everybody should be fighting for that world title, and that should be on the person that's going to draw the most money for you as a promoter.
I agree with you, but the only thing I could say to change that up a little bit is I don't think it always needs to be on the biggest draw, because it could be on a lesser draw being chased by the biggest draw and still be worth just as much.
Exactly. I mean, I also, tweeted out yesterday Charlotte and Asuka could fight forever. And I mean that. I mean, I would watch that for the next year if you put those two together. I mean, you could break them up every once in a while and, again, have them smaller runs with different female athletes. You put them together WrestleMania to WrestleMania, I'd watch that shit. With the women's title on it. Too, of course, right? So.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, and I want to urge you to make a generous donation to the Wayne Foundation so we can stop the sexual trafficking of children. Do it, or I'll find you, and I'll really fuck you up.
So the next thing I want to talk about with you, Ian, is Daniel Bryan and his thoughts about changes WWE should make. Now, he's been recently quoted as saying that I think a change of presentation is absolutely necessary. I think the way that we present our superstars probably needs to change. Years ago, they went through with this idea of having as much live stuff as possible on the shows. But I think when you watch and say something like, I don't know, the UFC, for example, some of the things that are the most endearing, that make you care the most about the fighters, are the backstage vignettes that get to show their real personalities and their real lives. Daniel Bryan's kind of pushing for stuff more like that. And I don't know if maybe it's just an honest belief of him as someone who watches all the different products, or maybe he can see the effects of what Total Divas does for certain people's popularity. What do you think?
I think it's a fine balance with pro wrestling. Pro wrestling is not the UFC, right? Pro wrestling is about storytelling, and it's about characters at the end of the day, right? The athleticism and everything else kind of seems meaningless if you're not buying into, why these two people are going at it and beating the crap out of each other. And, I like the idea of having some separation, right? I want to see the wrestlers, the athletes, be able to be themselves to a certain extent. And I understand, we're going to get pictures of, Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman out in Europe together or whatever that was. But at the same time, there needs to be a little bit of separation there. And I don't completely agree with it.
No, I 100% agree with you on that. Because, let's say if we found out more about the personal lives, or we saw more pictures and videos of the personal lives of guys like The Undertaker or guys like The Ultimate Warrior back in the day, if we knew more about the character behind, or the man behind the character of Bray Wyatt, would they be as cool to us? Would they have that mystique? Would we believe in it or buy into it as much?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't want to see Mark Calloway. He's done it right. he's hid real life in a lot of ways. So yeah, I just we're probably at the borderline of where we want to go with social media and everything that's out there. I'm not sure we want to take it much further, or I don't know how you adapt it into, these real people are, Bray Wyatt, like, how do you take that character and change it? I mean, there's a lot of people who are now portraying themselves in an amped up way, but then, I like the guys like Ascension, right? I like some of the funny stuff like Fashion Police, and so how do you make that believable?
With the social media, and with the internet specifically, have we gone too far already? Can we actually go back?
No, you can't go back, but, I wonder when it stops. Maybe Daniel Bryan's, pioneer of the future. So for me, yeah, I'm kind of at the borderline of consumption as far as their personal lives and them outside of their character that I watch and love.
It kind of reminds me of the quote from Dave Chappelle from a few years ago where he said, "You could become famous, but you can never become unfamous. You can only become infamous."
Hey, you're listening to It's a Work Podcast, and this is Tony Scarpone, and this is the Blitz Update.
And this is.
Fuck you! Paulie Tomaselli could fucking eat a dick right
What's up,
now.
everybody? You're listening to It's a Work Podcast. I'm Tony Scarpone, and this is the Blitz Update.
So let's talk about Pro Wrestling Blitz. There were some exciting developments at the last baseball show. Do you wanna tell the people?
Well, before we tell them what we did and before we let them hear what we did, why don't we talk about what's coming up first, and then we'll drop that on them. Because
all right,
we've got some dates coming up that I think everybody's going to want to know about. Like when we return to Standard Bank Stadium and the Windy City Thunderbolts games, we'll be returning on June 29th with Booker T, August 3rd with Al Snow, and August 17th with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And you know what else will be returning on those nights? One Mr. Ian Matthews, who you can hear as the actual ring announcer for Pro Wrestling Blitz on those nights.
Dude, that was awesome, man. So I just got tossed into the mix, and I really appreciate Tony, for everything he's done to support the podcast, giving me the opportunity to do that. I had the time of my life. Best wrestling show I've ever been to because I was the announcer. But yeah, man, I'm excited to see Booker T. I'm excited that we got to see
Mean Gene
we got to sit down
Okerlund.
with we got to sit down with Mean Gene Okerlund. We've got Cody Rhodes cutting opening promos for our show. So this whole ride has been awesome, and Pro Wrestling Blitz, big thank you to you guys, and I'm really excited for the upcoming show with Booker T.
Now, if only we could get Ian Matthews to remember to promote our podcast while he's announcing.
That's right. That's right.
if you
we
wanna-
don't promote it on the show, so people, you definitely got to go to iTunes, to all of your favorite podcatchers like Stitcher or Podbeam. Look us up. It's a Work Podcast, IAW Podcast. We've got a
Subscribe
YouTube
on
page.
YouTube. Subscribe on
to all
iTunes.
of them. Subscribe to all of them.
Follow us on
Soon
Twitter.
Enough, we'll be asking you for $1 every time.
For just 50 cents a day, you can support
yeah.
us and the Pro Wrestling Blitz update.
But wait,
if you
there's
want-
more. We have time with Mean Gene.
But if you want to come out for the Standard Bank Stadium Baseball Park games, it's 14011 Kenton Avenue in Crestwood, Illinois. The games start at 7 o'clock. Immediately following the baseball games is about an hour to an hour and a half of Pro Wrestling Blitz. And during the game, whoever our special guest is that night, be it Booker T, Al Snow, or Ricky Steamboat for the rest of the year, so they'll be signing autographs. They'll be doing their thing, hanging out, taking pictures, selling shills, having some fun. On top of that, we've got August 12th coming up at the Edwards Recreation Center, which is WrestleFest 8. That's right, WrestleFest 8 is going to have everyone you could possibly imagine on it. From Ray Horza to Daga, Extreme Tiger, Laredo Kid, Garza, Jack Evans, Damien, Bestia, Angelico. Marty the Moth is going after the first ever Fight TV Championship title. Taya Valkyrie is going to take on Gail Kim in the pre-show, and we've even got Johnny Mundo. That's right, formerly known as John Morrison in the WWE.
And what's the Blacklist going to be doing? You're not going to be chasing waterfalls, right? You're going to be chasing the congregation.
Chasing Punani. No, we're not chasing Punani that night. Well, you know what we're going to be doing that night? Mr. Brendan Conway is going to bring some hardwood for them to play with. I think I'm going to bring something hard and stiff to hit them with. And good old Ben McCoy is going to bring a little something for him to sit on. No, I'm not trying to talk dirty. I'm trying to talk TLC, tables, ladders, and chairs. And if the fans want to get in on it, I've said before, and I'll say it again every damn time we talk about it, bring your own weapons. Bring a kendo stick. Bring a guitar. Bring a bag of thumbtacks. Bring a bag of Jolly Ranchers. Bring a freaking thing of Gorilla Glue, and I'll glue Machine's butt crack shut. I swear to God, I'll open up his tights, and I will spray super glue in his butt crack. He won't be able to poop for a week.
I don't know what to say now.
I like it when people don't know what to say, because that just means I've owned the mic, and my time here is done.
Pro Wrestling Blitz update out.
Wait. We can't go yet because we forgot to promote July 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at Six Flags Great America in the Southwest Territory, where GLCW and Pro Wrestling Blitz will be coming together to put on 2 shows a day, one at 2 p.m., one at 6 p.m. at Six Flags Great America, right there for everyone to see. It's free with admission into the park, so come on out, have some fun, go to the water park, ride some rides, check out the new Joker, and maybe you can convince me to go ride the Batman with you. You never know.
You know, I noticed that I always try to jump to a segment, and then you're always like, wait. You know, that's happened to us a couple times.
But wait,
and I
there's
don't
more.
Think it's not working for us, man.
It's going to work.
But
how about we jump to the main segment, the meat and potatoes, the main event,
see,
the real
you did
reason
it again, dude.
why
I feel
everyone
like you did
is
it again
here.
right there. Like you're just on a roll with your.
I'm just sliding into bed next to you, all nice and soft. I got my hands on your booty. I'm directing.
No,
this
you
thing.
do it. You do it.
Yeah.
You tell the people about Mean Gene Okerlund.
Oh, yeah. We got the man, the myth, the legend. Well, let me tell you something mean. Woo! By God, Gene. That's right. We had Mean Gene Okerlund sit down with, of all people in the world, Ian Matthews and Tristan Hayes. The only problem with it, and we say problem like it's a real problem, but it's not. There's a little bit of guff in the background because we had to do it surrounded by hundreds of people because of Mean Gene's popularity. In fact, of all the baseball park guests we've ever had, he's the only person to ever run out of 8x10s, and they had to run out in the middle of the show and buy more so that he could keep getting them for the fans that were there to see him that evening. And after he was done, he was more than happy to sit down with me, with Ian, have a beer, and talk about pro wrestling.
Yeah, no, this is cool. He spent a little bit of time with us. I had a couple questions. He was awesome. This whole thing has been amazing. We're 3 episodes in. I've met Cody. I've met Mean Gene. I'm going to meet Booker T. So thank you so much to Pro Wrestling Blitz. And, here's the interview with Mean Gene Okerlund, the legend. All right, you got Ian Matthews here with It's a Work Podcast. We've got one of the legends, WWE Hall of Famer Mean Gene Okerlund. Thank you so much for sitting down with us right now.
Slip that 20 across the table to you.
You better believe it.
I thought we were gonna have to owe you more.
You think I'm high end, right? Well, guys, we're having a great time here tonight, and I guess it really tells you the universal popularity of professional wrestling. I'm still amazed.
Yeah.
People come out here, they're very fluid, they're very descriptive, and there's a great deal of passion in them talking about the mid-'80s, which was kind of my heyday. 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. But I'm still active today and loving it.
How many decades has your career spanned?
Well, I haven't counted in decades. I've been in the business for 46 years, so I guess you could say at least 5, and I'm hoping to make it 6.
Almost 5. Well, I mean, if you keep traveling with Dave Hero, you never know, you might make it to 6.
Yeah, and I got some other guys that I travel with that are even worse than... Oh, I didn't mean to say that.
So I'm just curious, you seem very passionate about the business still. Are you watching wrestling, like the current wrestling that's out there today, outside of the WWE?
Well, of course I do. I mean, I think I get a pretty good universal feel for what the industry and
Sure.
the state of the business is today.
Sure.
The one thing I don't particularly care for is a 3-hour edition of Raw.
I agree with that.
I think that it puts a lot of pressure on the creative forces, and it puts a lot of pressure on the talent as well. So,
Next batter, number 20, Mike Morris.
the financial terms of the agreement with USA are such that it demands a 3-hour show on Monday. SmackDown, on the other hand, very fluid, very good, great product, and it's a 2-hour show. So it's a kind of a lot to carry on the shoulders, and you got to crank out 3 hours every week, 52 weeks a year.
Would you
Remember, that show has been on the air for 20 years.
Would you compare the amount of talent today to the amount of talent maybe that we saw in the early 80s or late 70s?
It's very tough to describe. I think that generation, they were bigger, more physical people.
Sure.
Today we have a lot of gymnastics and a lot of high flying. I think guys like Rey Mysterio and some of those, now all of a sudden you got Big Show doing flying drop kicks.
Yeah.
So a lot of things are happening in the business. Very tough to compare, really. And how do you compare a 204-pound cruiserweight to a 320-pound Hulk Hogan?
Sure.
I got 2 questions for you that I would kick myself in the ass if I didn't ask you.
You would do that? I don't have that ability anymore to kick myself in the ass.
I gotta ask, where did the things like when you were interviewing Hogan or Flair, where did Mean by God Gene and well let me tell you something Mean Gene come from? Were those just natural or did somebody pitch those?
That it kind of morphed into it, and all of a sudden fans would see Hogan or myself, and it was always let me tell you something Mean Gene. And with Flair, who knows? I've known him for 50 years. And he's great talent, had a great career, but he's a very colorful guy, great behind a mic and a camera.
And the other question I got to ask you, and you've probably been asked about this a million times before, my favorite Mean Gene moment of all time is SummerSlam, Rick Rude and Bobby the Brain Heenan, and the banner falls in the background. I guarantee you know what I'm talking about.
It was the backdrop, the set, actually.
That's right.
It's the famous Mean Gene F it moment.
Well, it came out, and yes, I did drop the F-bomb, but it wasn't my fault. That was a pre-taped interview because of the availability of Rick Rude.
Okay.
So we had 4 or 5 different cuts. Tape guy went through the first 15 seconds and said, "This is it." And that's how that got on the air.
So what other things are you doing while you're in town?
Well, doing a lot of socializing. We did the Power Show with Dave Hero and Damian Nelson. Got a chance to talk to a lot of fans here tonight, and just having kind of a good road trip for me. I do a lot of travel. I work for the office every 3rd week, where I go in the studio 2-3 days at a crack, and still enjoy doing it. The travel, that is a pain in the ass.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Let me ask you one more thing before we let you go, Gene. I had tried to ask you before, but they had those horse races. Give me a good Dave Hero story, because Dave travels with everybody. There's got to be something.
Well, Dave is an amazing guy. I think the doctors will even tell you that.
I'd give Dave a 9 out of 10.
I'd give him a 10 out of 10. He is an amazing guy, and he seems to be very friendly with everybody.
There you go.
Yeah, especially women. You know, I can talk about the divas that we see today as opposed to some of the ones that we saw way back then. I don't even want to bring up the names, but I did have one real star, female star. They didn't have a lot of them. And she was talking about her opponent in not the kindest way. She says she couldn't wrestle, but you ought to see her box.
Nice.
With that, we'll let you go, because I know you got a lot.
Is that a visual? Is that Mr. Fuji's 5-on-2? Give me a break.
Awesome.
With that, Gene, we'll let you go. We don't want to take up too much of your time, but thank you very much, sir, for sitting down and talking with us.
It's been an honor. Thank you so much.
You guys got to learn how to shake hands. You're not one of the brothers, you know. We can't do that 5-part handshake.
No.
We can do one over a cold beer.
No fist bumps. I like that. All right, thank you. That was horrible. We can't put out poop content. This is